Hey, my name is Kyle Rush, and you are watching the No Counts Given podcast. Dance Team Union is a proud sponsor of the No Counts Given podcast. At Dance Team Union, the spotlight shines on you. Join DTU at camps and competitions that focus on bringing your program exactly what you are looking for. What is their mission, you might ask? To make sure your voice is heard loud and clear. DTU is dedicated for being coach and dancer focused because your needs and wants are their top priority, guiding DTU to provide tailor-made opportunities to align perfectly with your vision. Your voice matters. It's what drives them to provide and innovate season after season. Join the DTU family today and let your passion for dance take center stage. Dance Team Union, where your voice inspires greatness. To learn more about their summer camps and competitions and nationals that are really going to be coming right around the corner, go to www.danceteamunion.com. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the No Counts Given podcast, the premier podcast for dance and dance team. I'm your host, Kyle Rush. I'm here every single Thursday, and as you can see around me, another week, another studio, another choreography job. Luckily, I'm at my home studio, so this choreography job is a lot easier than most choreography jobs because I know the kids, I know their dance style, I know the skills they have, all the good stuff. Quick intro today. I just wanted to introduce Rob Miller to the podcast. Funny story really quick before we get it into this interview. If you were watching since the beginning, you would have seen that I was at the National Dance Coaches Association conference back in May. Rob was the keynote speaker, and we did this interview the day before the conference actually started. And Rob actually spoiled the podcast, or not spoiled, but he soft launched the podcast to all of the conference guests while we were there. It was funny. He was the keynote speaker, so he was speaking in the morning of the first day of the conference, and he was telling everybody about how he went to go to my podcast the day before, gave us an incredible shout out. He was like the most prepared, the most fun, great knowledge, all of this fun stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy this interview. Great interview. I think it's a great resource for like a lot of coaches and even like athletes. So let's get into it. Before I go anywhere else, like, comment, and subscribe. Follow. Do all of the things. Send this to your friends and enjoy the interview.
It's been interesting. My background is I grew up in a small town in Michigan, got a chance to play a ton of sports, went on and played small college basketball. Loved it a lot. Ended up coaching high school, boys and girls track and field and basketball. But then spent most of my time coaching small college men's basketball.
Yeah.
And then about, now going on 25 years ago, 30 years ago, I was kind of asked to go to the NAIA, the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, and start a coach's education program. Had no clue what it was going to be at the time. But I also know this is kind of a different world athletics lives in. We don't live in a philosophical world. We live in an application-based world. And so everything has to be, philosophy's good, but coaches want to know, what will you give me today that I can put in place tomorrow that will make us better right away?
Yeah.
That's the world we live in. It doesn't matter what your sport is, that's the world we live in. So I did that for about 8 years at the NAI, still very involved with them. But then in 2008, I joined Proactive Coaching. Our founder is Bruce Brown, and Dana Brown from out in Seattle area. And Bruce and I actually worked together at the NAI. I had hired him to work for me, and then we just reversed roles. And so since 2008, I travel the country. I speak about 130 days a year at high schools and colleges, even some pro teams, some businesses. And we talk about culture and leadership, but how to put it into place. And then in the whole dance world, it's interesting because, you look at me, you're going, that guy can't dance. And you're right, I can't. It was about 11 years ago now. Cindy Vaughn, who's the director of dance at Kingwood Park High School over in Humboldt, she asked me to come down. She was president of the Texas Dance Educators. So I came down and keynoted there. And then, Crowd Pleasers Dance picked me up, and then somebody else picked me up and was going to some colleges. And all of a sudden, I'd say 20% of my business is in the dance world.
Wow.
And one is it's been enlightening for me. And the reason I say that is I always respected dance, and even some cheer I'm working with too. So if you put that all in together, it's probably 30%, 20 dance,
Wow.
10% cheer. But what I learned real quick was I always respected who they were as a team, but I came to find out how hard they worked as a team. And it blows my mind away. You know, I tell this to dance teams all over the place. No one should be able to tell you, one, that you're not an athlete. You're some of the best athletes the high school or college has.
Absolutely.
And number two, you're some of the hardest workers you ever had.
Yeah.
But I come back and I'll leave this thought. But also one of the reasons why is culture and leadership so important in 30% of my business in that area, I believe it's this. Season lasts forever.
It does. It is, if you think about sports and sports seasons, some dance teams, I mean, I was just talking with the University of Minnesota coach. They just represented Team USA at the International Cheer Union. They had a 12-month long season. You don't see that in a lot of other sports, if any sport really. So yeah, it's definitely a long, exhausting season for
Which
sure.
Which means you can't hide issues and you can't put Band-Aids on them. You got to
Say
solve
that
them.
louder for the people
You
in
got
the
to
back.
solve.
Yeah.
You got to solve them, or otherwise they'll get you. And then look at the other thing that comes in the dance world. This is the other thing that I think highly impacts it. Is they basically have two different seasons.
Sports season.
Sports season and competitive season. And they're so far apart, so there's like two different seasons. And here's the other thing. You practice all the time for that competitive season, but you only compete for 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm a basketball coach. I go, once season starts, we go every 3 days, right?
Yeah.
We're just going, let's regroup, let's go.
Yeah.
No, it's all in that focus point. And that's a different world.
Yeah. I would say, especially, I mean, I think about a lot of the elite college teams, and they support their schools 90% of their season, and then they really only compete one weekend out of the year. So I think about like the start of the season to have to like build that momentum to go into that nationals competitive season and how to continue that momentum building, right? Even like a lot of high schools, they won't even start competing until late in the year, going into early the next year, right? So one thing that I've seen as a coach, choreographer is like, I don't want to call it burnout, but they lose that momentum during the season. Yeah. What would you say to like coaches that are maybe dealing with that quote unquote burnout part of their season and really need to like help motivate and drive their team to continue forward to do well at competitions or nationals or any other performances that they have really going on?
A couple things come to my mind when you say that. One is I always remind coaches this: it's okay to take a day off. People need rest, you know. And so if we are tired because we've been doing a lot of supporting other teams, going on road trips, going to bowl games, doing all this, you know what? Take a day off. It's okay. It's okay. But the second thing is you got to keep it fresh.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. It's got to be fun. I mean, we got to make this fun. If we're going through the same thing every day, it becomes routine. It becomes dull. It becomes a job. Keep it fresh. And then the third thing I remind people is also, this is me as a coach, so I think I could explain this. I'll get like 6-8 weeks into a season. I go, we're bad, man. We are horrible. And then you go look at the film and you go, dang, we've come a long ways.
There you go.
You know, if you look at the first week versus where we are now 3 months in. So I think those things, rest, make sure we're getting our rest, keep it fresh. And number 3, remember, we've come a long ways.
Yeah.
I think those help you keep going towards where you're going.
Yeah. I was talking with a coach a few weeks ago, and she mentioned something very similar to what you just said. And it's making sure that every practice is productive. And sometimes that means not having a practice is productive and giving your athletes that day off. Or maybe today we're not going to practice, just come in, let's watch film, let's take notes, and let's leave it at that, right? I want to talk about the purpose of coaching today. I feel like, especially in the dance realm, the purpose of coaching has changed in the past decade. The sport has elevated in the past 5 years, and it's like put up on this pedestal that now people that aren't even involved in the dance team world are watching or don't even know dance team are watching. When it comes to finding that purpose of coaching, whether it's a new coach, maybe you're a seasoned coach and you're like, I need to find a new purpose. How can coaches go about finding like their purpose of being in that space with their team?
We talk about. In fact, I'm going to talk about this actually tomorrow with a group of dance coaches here at the convention. We have to figure out, one, always remember why you got involved in it. And there's two reasons why you usually get involved in coaching, right? You love what you do, and you want to be able to teach.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the love of the sport and the ability to teach. Keep your focus on that and get the results out of there. Not that the results aren't important. We want to be good. Yeah. Those are. Those are goals and objectives, not purposes.
Yeah.
Those are results, not purposes. We're here. The purpose is to always come back to the basics because we love it. And we're trying to make an impact and teach kids something we love because they love it too.
Yeah.
So I think we come back to that. And then always keep this in mind. I think whenever we get in that stale point, we call them, you can be burnout coach stage. You can be status quo coach stage.
Yeah.
You can be prove it stage where that's all I want to do is win.
Yeah.
Okay. Always come back to significance. And think about this. What are you teaching your athletes they're going to live out in their life?
Yeah.
Because think about it. There's a few that will go on and make their career in dance world. You're one, okay? You're one. But most of them don't.
Yeah.
So what else are you teaching them besides dance? Dance is great. Hey, I'm a basketball coach. You know what I teach? Boxing out. Boxing out's getting down, getting your rear end big, pushing people out of the way, getting a rebound. Where else in life do you do that?
Yeah.
Walmart.
No kidding.
You do it at Walmart.
You do it at Walmart. Okay. I do it on Black Friday.
That's right. But what am I else teaching them? And so if we keep that concept on fun, love of the game, passion for what you're doing, the dance world. Number 2 is teaching kids this. And number 3 is making sure they're getting better. That will keep us grounded. Yeah, we're always going to want to be good.
Yeah.
I'd love to win more than anybody. But let's keep it on that level.
Yeah. Do you feel that coaches today are more performance-driven or purpose-driven?
I would say 5-6 years ago it was more performance-driven.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're coming back a little bit into the world of making both of them. I always put it this way. If you're all about performance without culture and leadership, you're in trouble. But if you're all about culture and leadership without performance, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
There's a balance there, and coaches have to be great in that balance of saying we have to be good at both of these as we go through. I think the world, it brings us to the performance side.
I agree.
And some of that outside pressure has nothing to do within the sport. It's parents, it's administrators, it's in the college world. It's just we got to put on a show because that attracts more exposure, which attracts more dollars, which attracts the NIL, which attracts our athletes, which attract, it's a crazy world out there. And so I think we can get caught up in that performance, but I think we just have to keep reminding people. And this is what I love. I think we're seeing associations like the National Dance Coach Association, other places where we're going. Why? Because they want to make sure coaches are hearing it's a balance of both.
Yeah. No kidding. I talk to a lot of coaches, a lot of choreographers, and one thing that I hear a lot is this generation. And it seems that after the pandemic, there's been like a loss of motivation. I like to joke and say we're coaching the iPad kids now. I used to joke about it for so long until I started realizing that we are coaching the iPad kids now. And I would say 5-6 years ago, I could be in a room of athletes, dancers, and 19 of them would be so motivated and driven. Now I step into a room and 19 of them don't have that motivation or drive anymore. Have you heard anything similar to the generation? I'm talking like high school kids right now, where that motivation has kind of dropped in a bit?
Oh, I know. I have no doubt there was. I refer to it as apathy. Coming out of COVID. Why? Because they sat around for so long, it became routine.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessarily it's not, I don't count it as this generation. I love today's kids. I don't think that it's this generation. I think it's the environment and situations we put this generation in.
Ooh.
Okay. We stick a phone in their hand at age 2, keep them entertained. Well, why wouldn't they keep doing it at age 25?
Yeah.
We've just kind of created that culture where it is a sit culture, not a get out and go culture. So I think it's there. So yes, it's there, but I also see a couple things. One's geographical, to be honest with you. It sounds weird.
Actually, I see it. I can see it. Yeah.
The central part of the U. And if you're just talking the U.S., forget about the world. Just talking the U.S. here. The central part of the U.S. is back for the most part. Okay, the coast that were in COVID for much longer are just coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think there's some of that going on. It's hard to say. It's been 4 years, but for some it's only been 3.
Yeah.
And for some 2.5.
Yeah.
And so they're just getting back into this. Okay, we're out of that cycle. Okay, we can't get that frustrated with them. But here's the thing I think has to help. 1, set the expectations, and 2, give them ownership. This group wants to. The great coach Pat Summitt from University of Tennessee basketball, passed away now, right? But one of my favorite Pat Summitt's quotes is this: the greatest weapon we have on any team is ownership.
Wow.
And so when we quit telling them who to be and we say, who do you want to be? How can I help you get there? We'll get some of that motivation back. And then the expectations, and I hear it from these coaches all the time. I go to a lot of the dance camps in the summer. And it's amazing to me. I could pretty much tell you which teams are going to be good in less than 45 minutes.
Wow.
Just by sitting and talking to all the teams, I'll walk around and I say, that one's going to have problems, that one's going to have problems, that one's going to be good, that one's going to be good. Because of what you're talking about, the engagement factor.
Yes.
But you know what else I find out on those engagement factor teams? I didn't know this at the beginning. There's coaches that are putting some things on them like, guys, we're going to camp. Phones will be locked up. You'll get them 1 hour a day to call home, make sure everything's okay, but we're not going to be on our phones.
Yeah.
And then the other teams are out there in the hallway as soon as they get a break on their phones. So you see it. So it's setting the expectations and giving them ownership that I think gets them out of that dead period, apathy period, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. One thing that a lot of college coaches look for an incoming freshman dancer or an incoming new dancer is character. While, yes, character can be taught in all sorts of ways that you are growing up, I think coaching character is very important. How or what does coaching character look like day to day for a dance team?
That's a great question. First of all, I think we have to remember this, and anybody that's heard me talk has heard me go down. This is my hot button, okay? We've gotten really good at T-shirt slogans and really bad at action statements.
Oh, wow.
So everybody has their slogan.
Yeah,
okay.
You have your yearly slogan.
Okay, I want to know what that slogan looks like. What's it look like in practice? What's it look like in competition? What's it look like in the classroom? What's it look like in the community? What's it look like off season? What's it look like? Okay, let's get down to 3 feet, not 30,000 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first thing. If you're going to teach it, because if I walk over today, if I go find a team and say they got, and down here in Texas where we're at, they can have teams of 60, 70 people, right? Or more.
They're huge.
And if I put them in a room and have them all take out a piece of paper and write their definition for the word respect, how many different definitions am I going to have?
60, 70 different definitions.
That's right.
Yep.
So, and I can't get mad at somebody just because they have a different definition. We got to get on the same page.
Yeah.
So that's where it starts. Are we on the same page?
Yeah.
But then what the process we give coaches is this. How do you teach a skill? And how you teach a skill is the laws of motor development.
Yep.
If I'm going to teach a skill, I got to define the skill. I got to model the skill. I got to shape the skill, confrontation, and I got to reinforce the skill. Why don't I do the same thing for character skill?
Wow.
Define it, which gets us to 3 feet. Model it, give an exact blueprint of what it looks like, and then you better do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Shape it. If you want it, you better correct it, because the moment you don't correct it, you told them it's okay.
Yeah.
So you can't ask for too much. That's what, because I always say this: if I corrected everything that bothers me, we'd never practice, right? Because I'd correct everything. Okay.
Yeah.
No, what do we need? And then lastly, reinforce it. Job well done.
Yeah.
Those are great process to get the teaching going.
Yeah. How can coaches coach the accountability side while still being compassionate with young athletes today?
We put it this way, and you have to explain this at the beginning, okay? And I'll go 2 ways with this. When you said that, something else hit me. We have to explain what here's one I think really has hit. This is one I think has changed over the course of the last 10, 15 years. Coachable, teachable spirit, whatever you want to call it. We have to explain that to kids. And what I mean by that is a lot of kids think when I correct them, I'm personally attacking them.
Yep.
It's not.
Yeah.
So correct the behavior, not the person. Okay? Correct the skill, not the person.
Yes.
Okay? That's one way we can go after it. But kids have to understand, if I'm correcting you, that means I believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause if I don't correct you, it means I've given up on you.
Yeah.
So correction is a compliment. So that's part number one of that. But part number two of that is this. Make sure they understand correction can be positive demanding. I could come at you with some angst, but never demean or embarrass them.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's never worked well, but now it works even less.
Yeah.
I'm probably twice your age. Okay, I'm 61. Okay, when I was growing up, there was
Exactly twice my age, actually.
Okay, see, there's when I was growing up, there's a lot of coaches that they just call you idiots, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, about half the team couldn't take it. About half the team looked at him and said, "I'll show you."
Yeah.
Okay, about the time you came along, that was probably about 60-40. 60% said, "I'm not going to take this crap," and 40% said, "I'm going to show you." Now it's about 90-10.
Yeah.
90 say, "I'm not taking this."
Yeah.
And so we're going to lose them before we ever start it.
Yep.
So explain why you're correcting them, okay? And make sure you never demean them.
Yeah.
Whether you're quiet or loud, doesn't matter. Just don't demean them. But there's the other thing. I just said the word and it hit me. This is the why generation.
Uh-huh.
You better explain why you're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to go into depth.
No.
But they just don't want to be told run. They want to know, why am I running?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's why. There's
Yeah.
a purpose to it.
How do you feel? Do you know the sandwich effect?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on it?
Well, I don't follow the sandwich effect.
Okay.
And the reason I don't is, what happens if you don't do two good things?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to make something up. Nice job breathing. What am I going to do? You know, I mean, I'm not going to make stuff up. I think what my formula is this. When they do something that needs correcting, correct them. When they do something good, praise them.
Absolutely.
So look for praising.
Yeah.
As much as you're looking to correct, look to praise. Don't make stuff up for the sandwich effect. Or I've even heard for every one time you correct somebody, I need to praise them 4 times. No, sorry, not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, you have never coached a day in your life. That's how I felt. Exactly. But we got to be on the lookout. We have to be aware of our surroundings and praise them when we can praise them.
Dance Team Union is a proud sponsor of the No Counts Given podcast. And y'all, Dance Team Union is going on 10 incredible seasons, okay? This coming up 2025-2026 season, it is 10 incredible years of Dance Team Union. And listen, oftentimes dancers are seen as just supporting elements for other sporting events. The most common misconception that dance is not a sport. And Dance Team Union, they strive for their programs to feel like the main event. Dancers are not placed on the sidelines, but treated and respected as the athletes they are. This need for change in the dance team community is the reason why DTU was created. They are constantly emphasizing that you are the main event through all of their major events and opportunities to this community. Find out when they will be heading to a city near you this season by visiting www.danceteamunion.com.
So, very important in teams in general is team culture. And I think a lot of coaches might struggle with finding that team culture and what that team culture might look like within their program, within their team, within their studio. I think culture is very important. I think it could help build on all of the things that we are just talking about. When it comes to building culture, what would you say are some highlights you can do or things that you could implement in your program that can turn around to good character with your athletes?
Yeah, let me go 3 things there. The first one is this. You always hear this. Well, yeah, culture is good when you're winning. Well, culture is going to be better when you're winning and you're good. That's okay. What great culture does, though, is it allows you, when you hit adversity, to stay strong. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing. Culture is good because it will hold your foundation even if you hit some adversity or you hit a bump in the road. So that's number 1. Number 2 inside that is, I think one thing we forget sometimes, and I've just kind of gone on this for the last year or so, when kids join a team, there's a commitment to that team.
Yes.
Okay? But there's 2 types of commitment. And I didn't think I did a very good job when I was coaching basketball with this. Okay? And it's just kind of hit me in the last couple of years. There's individual commitment and there's team commitment. Individual commitment, if we have a team of 25, each person is going to have to make a different individual commitment for them to reach potential for us to be the best.
Yeah.
So on one athlete, it might be a better work habit. On one athlete, it may be got to show up on time. These are all character traits,
Yeah.
right? For one, it may be I have to have a better teachable spirit. I have to take correction as a compliment. It can change from athlete to athlete, okay? So we got to be good there. But then the other one is team commitment. And team commitment is our non-negotiables. That's our culture.
Yeah.
If you're part of this team, here's what it is, okay? So I think in there, that's a key one that has to, one, not be too many. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Okay? Be great at a few things versus mediocre at a bunch of things. Okay?
Absolutely.
So your culture doesn't have to be this thesis. It just needs to be something that's spelled out and comes down to 3 feet so I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay? And it looks like these 2 or 3 things, but there are things that we do well. There's things we need to improve on. Okay? They all come together. That makes us the best team we can be. Then the biggest thing is give them, again, I'm coming to what I already said before, give them ownership in it. How would you tweak this for this year's team? May not look the same on this year's team than it did last year's team. So we need to come back and say, okay, we can have the same words. We can have the same theme, but what's it look like this year?
Yeah.
That gives them the ownership. Okay?
Yeah.
But then I think maybe one of the biggest things, and this is a fourth thing I'm just throwing in, we better become, as coaches, expert at confrontation.
Wow.
And your kids will never, and it doesn't mean you'll be good at it all the time. It just means we have to understand it's time to confront. How do we confront? Doesn't mean it's always going to work. I was confronting somebody the other day, and I thought, well, I did that really poorly. Speak about it, but I was horrible at it. But we have to be experts at identifying when the time comes and the process to do it. And then we also have to help our leaders, especially on our team, but everybody, because if it's just us holding the whole team accountable, and we got 25, 30, 40, 50 people, it isn't going to work very well. I need everybody to hold each other accountable, starting with themselves.
Yeah. What does it look like for a captain or like a leader that's really putting in, setting that culture, working alongside with the coaches? Like, what would that look like for a leadership role?
Well, I think we have to define what leadership is and then give a leadership job description. And the reason I say that is I think 2 things that hurt leadership is so many times we name a senior or talented or popular person to the leadership role. None of those things make you a leader.
Yeah.
Now, I think being a senior and talented can bring credibility to it.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think it makes you a leader, but it can bring popularity doesn't, because you better be ready to be unpopular, right?
Yeah.
It's just you better be unpopular if you're going to be a leader sometimes. Okay? Don't be afraid to bring leaders on that are sophomores. Doesn't mean they have to have a title, but they can be a leader.
Yeah.
Everybody can lead a little bit. But then I think we get caught up in the difference between duties and responsibilities. Duties are things we're all required to do. I got to lead stretching. I got to make announcements. Okay, that has nothing to do with leadership, but it's part of the position.
Yeah.
Leadership, and we go through 7 things that we talk about. We're going to talk about this tomorrow, okay? And I'm not going to talk about all 7, but simple things like, okay, be the first to protect and defend your team, and the last to criticize it.
Yes.
Okay,
That's actually a very strong statement.
that's a strong
That
statement.
is a very strong statement. And I think that could resonate with a lot of coaches.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time. We talk about loyalty. That's part of the loyalty.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean and I tell coaches, if you think your kids are going to agree with you all the time, you're crazy. Right? Kids are not going to agree with their coaches at all times. But will they stay loyal to you because you've built the culture and the trust? Okay? I'm not going to always agree with my kids, but will I stay loyal to them? That's one key. Okay?
Yeah.
Another one I think we get into too is be the first to serve and the last to be served. Get out of the boss mentality and get into the leadership mentality. Don't sit there and say, hey, freshman, go do this. The longer you're in the program, the more responsibility you take. The more responsibility you take, the harder you will work. Okay? That's a second one. And then just a third one that we talk about all the time is this. Be the first to encourage and the last to discourage. And why we get into that all the time is leaders can't have bad days.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
Sorry.
yeah.
You're not entitled to have a bad day.
Yeah.
Okay? And you have to encourage through your words, but especially your body language.
Yeah.
Don't be moody. Moodiness brings drama. Drama kills teams.
Yep.
Get rid of your moodiness or you can't be a leader. Okay?
Yeah.
No bad days. But one thing I talk about them with bad days is I try to get leaders to think about this. There are no bad days in dance or basketball. There's sad days. There's disappointing days. There's great days. Hey, I'm a Pistons fan. We lost to the Knicks. That was a disappointing night in the playoffs.
Yep.
Not a bad day. Disappointing day, right? Okay. Save bad for bad, and I remind them this. Some of your teammates, their best 2 hours of the day is when they're with you at practice because they go home to bad. So don't equate bad here to what people are facing, because maybe one of their parents is facing chemo.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
So let's keep this in perspective.
Yeah. I want to talk about the athlete to parent relationship. Very important relationship, especially if you want your athlete to really thrive in their sport, right? However, I know that a lot of coaches deal with overly involved parents, but then you have coaches that deal with underly involved parents. What kind of advice would you give to those coaches out there?
Yeah, let's start with just 2 thoughts overall for the coaches. First one is this. Our belief of proactive coaching. Yeah, I got this from Bruce. When coaches and parents work together, athlete wins.
Mm-hmm.
When coach and parents work apart, athlete loses.
Yeah.
Let's start with that thought. Doesn't mean we're going to agree.
Yeah.
But let's work together.
Yeah.
Okay, on this. Okay. The second one is this. Focus on the 99% of parents, not the 1.
Yeah.
80% of parents you'll never have issues with. Like you said, though, some you want to get more involved in that 80%. We'll come back to that. 90% you might have some issues with, but if it's good communication and strong standards, you'll be fine.
Yep.
Then there's 1% you're not going to get along with. They're going to think you're the worst person that ever has coached in the history of the world. It's the way it is. Yeah. We all have them.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know what? That's who they are in life. That's what they're doing in all of life. Okay. Yeah. It's easier said than done, but save your energy for the for the 99%, not the 1.
Yeah.
So that's one way to go at it. I think the second way and the best way to do this is what I remind coaches, and we do a whole parents presentation we don't need to get into, but I remind coaches this. When you're working with your parent, just remind them this. Mom and dad never put your kid in a situation where they have to choose between you and me. And I'll never put you in a situation where they have to choose between you and me. Because coaches can do it too.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
We can do it too.
I've seen it.
So let's not put our kid in a situation they got to choose between coach and parent.
Yeah.
Unfair.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're 5 years old or they're 18 or they're 22. Unfair.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You were saying something, and it made me think of a situation I was in recently, actually. I directed a studio for 10 years. I recently left in October whenever I made my move to Southern California. And I've had athletes that were with me for those 10 years. And so that transition of me leaving and them having to adapt to someone new was very tough. I actually had athletes that just left a previous studio the year before I came to me, adjusted to me, and then had to adjust to someone new, right? And one thing I always would tell my dancers is that I'm not going to be your only coach. You're going to have many personalities that you're working with, many coaches that you're working with, and everyone approaches coaching a little bit differently. And I would see it would take time to get adjusted, for one. And then 2, once they were adjusted to me, everything was fine. And then, I left, so they would have to adjust to someone new, right? Coaching shifts. How can athletes handle that better? Or what can coaches do to maybe win those athletes over a little bit easier?
Yeah, I think from a coaching standpoint, we need to really talk to our athletes about this. What you just said is wonderful. How you just started out, you're going to experience many different types of coaches and different styles of coaching.
Yeah.
But then what I'm sure you did is then that's going to benefit you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I think you always remind them, having different voices is going to make you better instead of one single. That's going to make you be able to thrive, not just in dance, but in life.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going to meet all sorts of different people in life, right? I mean, it's one thing we don't do well now in our culture.
Yeah.
We don't have the ability to communicate from one side to the other politically, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. We're different.
Yeah.
Let's talk it out instead of fight it out.
Yeah.
Okay, as it comes through. So I think that's one way is we have to do a good job of educating them. You're going to get different, okay? The other thing is I just talked about the parent, okay? I think the other way, and I'll use it in a dance analogy, as coaches, whether you're a coach at a studio or coach at a college or high school team, never put the kid in the middle. Because how many times you hear this? But my club coach said, that's a basketball analogy.
Yes.
But my school coach said, no, come back. It's okay.
Yeah.
We can work together. We might teach it differently. So when you're with us, you have to do it the way we want it. But with their way isn't necessary. You can't do it like that.
Yes.
No. Just in this style, here's how we're doing it, and come back to the why we're doing it.
Yes.
Why we're doing it.
Yes. That resonates a ton, actually. And the town I was working in previously, there was maybe 7 other high schools. And me as an individual working with 7 other coaches, I would have 5 that were incredible.
Yep.
We will not practice past 5 p.m. You could have them at this time, etc. But I was in a situation where I had to actually deal with a coach where it was like, it's my way or the highway. And that collaboration factor, I could see how it would pull the kids away or make them have to feel like they have to choose sides, which always just felt very icky to me.
Yep.
Where I would be, I'm going to contact your coach and I'm going to ask for you. I'm not going to have you go and do it. But then it would be the other way around. They would come to me and have the coach ask me question. Does that make sense? Like they would be asking me on behalf of the coach. If I was in that situation still, how would you think that I could better that situation to maybe have that where we're not putting the athlete in the middle? We're working together for the betterment of the athlete and the athlete alone.
Well, I think it sounds like you did a great job with 5 of them.
I hope so.
And the two of them you were probably trying to reach. And the question is, as Bruce always says this way, a person has to be a participant in their own rescue.
Yeah.
Okay. If they're not willing to choose to work with you, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You can only do what you can do, not to put that athlete in the middle. But I think one thing you can do is talk to them about, here's why I want to work together. So we want this to be a great experience for student athlete. And one thing there was a study that came out during COVID that it was John Underwood is his name, and he's out from U.S. Olympic Committee. And I don't think it got the play it should have because COVID was going on.
Yeah.
Because it came out during COVID. It was done prior. But what's the number one concern of high school and college athletes right now? The lack of sleep.
Yeah.
And they're sleeping the average high school athlete sleeping 6 hours and 20 minutes a night. The average college athlete 6 hours and 5.
Wow.
The difference between that and 8 hours is 30% in academic and athletic performance.
Wow.
Okay. Our kids aren't getting their rest. How can we work together so that they're rested? Second, just my belief, okay, and why I think we have to work together. I'm a huge believer in multi-activity, multi-athletic. Okay, and when I say activity, I don't care if you're in a band in basketball. That's good for me. I want you in all these different teams.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's changed to the point it used to be I went from this team to this team to this team to this team. Now it's doing 4 or 5 things each season. Well, my opinion is overcommitment leads to undercommitment.
Yeah.
If I'm committed to 5 different things, I could probably be committed to 2 things. I could be committed to my high school team and this studio. But if I'm committed to the high school team, the studio, and I'm also over here doing this other activity, and I'm doing the play, and I'm doing this, you're not committed to anything.
Yeah.
And so I think we've gotten to that point with kids that we're really forcing them to do so much stuff. They're tired and they're not committed.
Yeah. No kidding. What would you say is the biggest blind spot most coaches don't realize they have?
That's a great question. I've never been asked that. That is a wonderful question.
I do my preparation.
I think it's probably this. The biggest blind spot we have is that we think we have the answers.
Yeah.
And because we're the coach.
Yeah.
We should have all the answers. Sometimes we don't listen to our kids. If we just spent more time listening to our kids, we might grow a lot as a coach, and they'll have great ideas that I'll go, yeah, we can
didn't even think of that.
We can do that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think sometimes it's as I say this kind of in a bigger context, who make the worst teammates? Coaches.
Oh, yeah.
We're the worst.
No kidding.
When it comes to like a high school coaching staff, coaches are the worst teammates because we're narrow. We're in our team. We don't want to, we want to get ours. So we're horrible
That's
teammates.
why I retired my athlete career. I couldn't. Too much of a coach.
And that's where I think sometimes we do that. We're in the lead. It's our show. It's our program. Be vulnerable. Let yourself talk to your athletes. You know what? As the basketball coach, I would know what I know now. I would have been talking to the dance coach because you know who else? The band director.
Yeah.
And the FFA, because I grew from Farmtown, the Future Farmers of America director, who had like 150 kids a year in his program, right? They were correcting teams so well. Be able to go ask questions, and that means of your athletes as well.
Yeah. If you could give a coach 3 pieces of advice before the season starts, what would they be?
One, make sure you are set in you know what the culture is going to be, and you don't wait for the season to start to try to start teaching it. You got to at least start the process before the season starts, because if you wait till opening day, it's probably too late.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens a lot with me in the dance programs is I'm going in as soon as they select their team in the spring. So we're prepping it, and then the summer they start implementing it. And then by this fall, when they get to school, they're already into play with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one. Don't wait too long to start implementing your culture. The second thing is write down all the potential problems you might have. And come up with how you're going to respond to them. I think one thing as coaches we get is so emotional, okay, that we'll let one situation and we blow up, and it's going to cost us that team or that year or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the other thing. Be prepared and know how you're going to respond. Maybe that's an athlete. Maybe that's a competition because you don't like judges. You're going to face this one judge you can't stand, and they're going to be down the road. How are you going to respond to that when it happens? How about this? The parent that runs up to you right after the competition because they're upset and they get in your face right when you're coming off the court or wherever it is, right?
It happens all the time.
Okay, you better be ready. Don't wait for that moment to prepare for it, okay?
Yeah.
The third thing is remember where you're going. And what I mean by that is I think sometimes we sit and we're so worried about today, okay, we forget to see where we're going. Mm-hmm. So think about what's going to look like 9 months from now.
Yeah.
Okay. So that I always have my focus on where we're going, so I don't let one practice get me so upset because we're still going there.
Yeah.
I think those are the 3 things. And if I'm going to add a 4th one in, this is one that's kind of, I remind coaches, don't get caught up in everything, because I think here's where we've come in our culture. Parents look to the competition that day.
Yeah.
They're looking at that competition right then, okay? Athletes are looking kind of at the season. How's my season going? Coaches should be looking at the program. Who's come before me? What's coming after me? So set your program for the long haul, not just today. The long haul.
How many speakers do you guys have at Proactive Coaching?
We have about 6.
Okay.
Now I do probably 80% of speaking because most of our other people are doing other jobs. I'm the full time. Bruce is retired. He's 78. He lives on a San Juan island, so he says, "Why do I'm looking at the mountains and I got the ocean below me. Why am I leaving?"
Yeah.
He'll go if like it's one of his former players or something like that. But so he's not speaking as much. But then the other ones, I brought up the band. One of our speakers is a football coach, band director at the same school.
Wow.
And
that's a cool combo.
Small school, but he wants to have as many kids at halftime in football uniforms as possible, right? That's amazing. And so he's one of our speakers because how great is that? He can speak to that commitment level, how we can get it at activities and athletics. So we have about, so overall I'd say we speak about 175 to 200 days a year, and I do 130 of those.
Nice. So if someone wants to get a session with you guys, bring a speaker in, what would a session look like?
Well, we vary it. We do coaches in service, so we just work with coaches. Now, at the high school level, many times, and this is very interesting, most times I go to a school, I'm working with the whole school.
Yeah.
Okay? Except in dance. Yeah. Then I'll work a lot with just dance. Okay? It's really interesting that way. Dance and cheer will come together. So the spirit programs come together, okay? Now, colleges, at D1, I'll go work with the program. So I'll go about a month from now, I'll be at Ohio State. Just work with the program. Okay?
Like the spirit program?
Yeah.
Okay,
spirit
cool.
Program. Yep.
Mascot, cheer.
Yeah. And dance. Yep. And we'll work with the 3. So as that comes in, so we could do 3 hours with coaches. We could do an hour with coaches, an hour with athletes, an hour with parents. We can do combination thereof. A lot of times what we do is we bring coaches and leaders in, and we'll spend a 3-hour workshop just working with the coaches and the leadership. So we tailor the messages. We've got about 15 messages. We don't we keep those pretty basic. Okay, these are our messages.
Yeah.
Somebody says you want to come in and speak on such and such a topic. No, I'm not good at it. I want to speak on what I know I can do. Okay?
Yeah.
And so we go in and we got about 15 different topics or 16 different topics, and we'll go in and we'll speak, but then we kind of form fit it to which audience we're trying to reach that time.
Yeah. Amazing. And if someone wants to book a session, how can they do that?
Best way is to contact me because I'm doing the scheduling.
There we go.
Because other people are all working. So that's just rob@proactivecoaching.info, which is a different one.
Okay.
rob@proactivecoaching.info.
All right. That is it. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the No Counts Given podcast. And I will see you next week. Like, follow, subscribe, all of the things. And have a great rest of your day. Bye.